Ahoy hoy, I'm Planarwalk, and a topic that's been on my mind recently is net neutrality. Now the reason why is because there's been people that have been against net neutrality, and in my mind I've been trying to work out, okay, why are they against net neutrality? What's their reasoning for being against net neutrality? And so these people linked me to this video which I then had a watch of, and then I went ahead and researched it, and I found out that in this video things are false. Now this is a video by Mr Dapperton, so I'm going to cover a lot of the points that he makes and make a few of my own points as well. So he opens up his video with what would be a good point, because he says about back in the past before we had net neutrality that none of these things that we're saying actually happened. They never throttled, they never blocked certain sites or certain features, and this would be a good point if it wasn't outright false. Because it has happened. Comcast blocked VPNs as well as other ISPs. And if that wasn't enough for you, they made it so that you could pay a higher price for your internet just so you can access VPNs. And I'm going to get back to VPNs again really soon. Comcast and Verizon throttled Netflix until Netflix paid them a bribe. So this shit has happened. And this says one of two things about Mr Dapperton. That he is either being intellectually dishonest, because he could know about this stuff and just choose to ignore it, or he's being intellectually lazy by not researching this stuff. So it's one of those two.
All net neutrality does is allow the government to put their greedy little hands all over the internet.
Yes, the greedy government with their little hands going to get all over the internet, and then they'll be able to send an email or something, probably.
I'm just saying, once they put their greedy little hands all over the internet, just say goodbye to free speech, because it's just a matter of time before they go after that. If you let the government regulate the internet, we are screwed as far as the internet goes.
Ah yes, the government will destroy free speech thing. I've got two questions. First off, how does ISPs have anything to do with free speech? And if they can throttle your internet, can't they make free speech more difficult? Just my opinion on that. Also, another concern I have about it is you're so worried about free speech, and you're probably also worried about the government going ahead and spying on you. And to be fair, if we remove net neutrality, it ain't going to do jack shit about the government spying on you. They're still going to spy on you regardless. But, you know how I mentioned VPNs earlier? They are a great tool. So if you're using a VPN, then you can basically encrypt the data between you and the server which the VPN is connecting to. So if you're so worried about the government interfering with your free speech, just use a VPN, or use Tor, or use a proxy, or a combination of all three. But the fact is, VPNs make it a lot more secure when you're on the internet. And if we have no net neutrality, then we could have VPNs blocked by Comcast, which I've said, they have done it in the past.
Call me crazy, but I think the people should regulate the markets, not the government.
Call me stupid, but people are stupid. People are really bad at regulating the market. I'm not going to go into that, but what I will go into is what if an ISP has a monopoly? You've either got the option of go with that ISP or go without. Two options. And internet is so much a part of our society today that it is really hard to go without internet.
I know what you're thinking. Oh, these companies are going to throttle Mr. Dapperton. Yeah, they haven't done it in the past, but they're going to do it. Trust me. Well, that's something that's already punished by the FTC. The FTC's already basically made that illegal. So even without net neutrality, they can't go and throttle competitors because the FTC will punish them.
So I have to give credit where credit is due. And what Mr Dapperton is saying here is true. The FTC has sued AT&T, but from what I could tell it was unsuccessful in doing so. They were suing AT&T because they were throttling customers. Now, the problem here though is that even though they tried suing AT&T, they didn't try, from what I could find, they didn't try suing Comcast and Verizon for throttling Netflix. In fact, Verizon tried to pin it on Netflix, not themselves. So if anyone has any sources which prove that I'm wrong, Do let me know.
It basically fixes non-existent problems and ruins the internet in the process.
So policy is designed to fix both existing and non-existing problems. The reason why it's designed to fix both of them is in case one of the non-existing problems actually happens. And yes, policy can be a cunt at times, but all it takes is one person to ruin it for the rest.
It's ridiculous that everybody supports this.
Not really. I mean, I have gone and researched this, and I still support net neutrality. It's not hard to understand why people would support net neutrality. Anyway, he's made another one of these videos, and there's a few points I want to address in this one too.
In my last video, I said this can't happen. I said right now it's like $54 a month to have internet across the board for video, email, gaming, social media. And without net neutrality, they're claiming that this could happen, where video, email, gaming, and social media is split up, and you got to pay for those each service separately. Turns out in New Zealand, it's happening.
He just mentioned New Zealand. So, what he said is only partially true. It's got a sliver of truth to it, but it's not fully true. Basically, ISPs can charge something like $65 for access to 80 gigabytes worth of internet. You go over that 80, and then you start paying, I think it's something like $1 per gigabyte you use over that. Unless, of course, you go with an unlimited plan. And that unlimited plan will be something like $95. And keep in mind, this is New Zealand dollars. So the $95 plan will give you unlimited access to basically any website. And both of these plans generally have options for ADSL, VDSL, and fiber. Some companies price them differently. The company that I'm with prices them all the same. And also the company that I'm with can actually speed up your internet if you pay a bit more. But the thing is, they don't just say, okay, you want to play games? You're going to pay $14.99 extra.
And then I really thought about it, and that's not really a bad thing if it were to happen. Look, it's $54 a month for internet on this graph, but if you look at no net neutrality, where video, email, gaming, and social media are split up, those services are split up, it's actually a little cheaper in the end.
You do realize someone just made that graph, right? A company, if they were to actually split things up, they'd actually go out and research it so that they're making a profit. They don't want to suddenly go, okay, we're going to split this up and then lose a whole lot of money. Generally, companies are for profit, so you'd expect them to go, okay, we've worked it out so that we actually make more money of this. And for some people, it would benefit them. But for a lot of people, it would actually be more expensive. And it would also probably be tiered. So if you want gaming, you can't just go without social media or something like that as well. And if you want VPNs, you've got to get everything.
You don't like company A? So vote for company B with your wallet. And that company will survive and the other company will die. That's how the free market works. You may say, oh, well, what if you live in a rare part of town where there's only one ISP? Well, that ISP is not going to survive very long worldwide if they keep doing what they're doing. Secondly, they're giving very good incentive for other ISP services to pop up and steal their business.
So this relates to something I was talking about earlier. But you do realize how much it would take for a new ISP to prop up, right? You have to build infrastructure, you have to make sure the company will be profitable enough to pay its employees, you do have to employ people, and then there's also the case of, will it actually be able to outcompete a bigger company? Bigger companies, they can do a lot of shit to a smaller company to basically force them out of the market, especially if the smaller company is better. And then there's the case of, not many people go with small unknown companies because they don't know what they'd be like. You know, people prefer to go with the devil they know than the angel that they don't, sort of thing, if you get what I'm saying.
People will check for throttling on their own, and they'll report to the media if a website's being throttled. And the media will freaking come down on that company, and that company will lose millions of dollars.
That is assuming that it is in the media's best interest to really come down on that company. You've got to really keep in mind that NBC is owned by Comcast. So why would NBC want to destroy their parent company to just for a story. That would destroy NBC itself.
What, you don't think you could control the internet via the internet service providers? You totally can. The internet service providers control the damn internet.
It'd be much easier to control the internet via Google, who controls search results. But, that aside, if a government wants to monitor activity, an ISP doesn't actually have to go, okay, you can monitor this person's activity. No, some ISPs actually refuse to let the government monitor customers' activity unless they have a warrant.
It costs small business owners, small ISPs, billions of dollars to start up because of all the regulations.
Most regulations that might make it more expensive for an ISP to start up are there to protect the consumer. Most of the regulations are probably something like, don't be a dick to your customer. Now you could argue that to understand all these regulations, to fully understand them, you might have to pay someone, because someone like you or me wouldn't be able to read through 80,000 pages of regulation. And that is a fair point, but then you've got to remember, you've got to pay people for customer service, you've got to pay people to maintain your service. There's heaps of people that you'll have to employ, so employing maybe one, maybe two people more isn't going to make much of a dent on your on the cost. So those are all the points that I want to cover from Mr Dapperton. And I'd like to add another point myself. So I'm not from America. I'm from New Zealand. Now a lot of people would say to me, why are you trying to defend this? It doesn't affect you, but it does. If somebody that I know in America is throttled, and just say they're a good friend of mine, then it could mean that I'm no longer able to talk to them. And a lot of my friends, they have shitty internet as it is. So I don't want their internet to be even shittier, and then I can't talk to them, and eventually we fall out of contact because of that. That would be one of the worst things to happen. So that is why I am for net neutrality, as well as all the other reasons I mentioned in the video. Now, I doubt that Mr Dapperton will see this video. I really do. And if he does, then I'll probably get a ton of hate. I don't give a fuck. I honestly don't. But one of the things that really annoyed me about his video is the fact that he didn't really address when he was wrong. Because that guy made a point which basically showed that Mr Dapperton was wrong. And he just really, made fun of the guy, instead of actually addressing those points, Although, to be honest, it was fucking funny. In case you didn't know, I was making those movements to make a point. So leave a like and subscribe if you like this video. If you want to see more videos like it, leave a comment of what sort of video you'd like me to make. But one thing I want to mention is that I'm not done with Mr Dapperton. There's a lot of shit that I need to cover that he's mentioned. So I will be coming back to that. But for now, I will see you in the next video. Between you and me, thank you for watching.